Welcome to Trials, Triumphs, and Truths with Dr. Monica. As you can see, I'm not live today because I'm traveling, and I wanted to pre-record this message so that you still get encouragement on today. So I am the author of Wounds of Wisdom. The book is written to transparently share my wounds in an effort to help others heal. It's about each one, reach one, heal one. And if you've been tuning in, you're listening to the theme song by Carrie Taylor. I'm moving up, all the way up, not down. So whatever you do, whatever your wounds of life, move up. So today I am going to talk about wounds in general. Last week I posed a question, homework question. And I'm going to talk about that question as well as present 3 points today. I posted the question, how can we connect to others in a genuine, practical, human, and relatable way? I didn't get any responses to that on Facebook or Instagram. And I had to pause for a moment. When people are going through wounds, that's exactly what actually happens. We stay silent. People do nothing about it. Don't exist. Make excuses. Just allow people to wallow in their wounds alone. And people feel alone. And if you've read the book, you know that I've been wounded and I felt very alone in that process. So the book is written hopefully so that no one feels alone in their wounds. As I speak to people more and more about wounds of life, people always say that they feel like they're alone. No one's there for them. And they're the ones who are usually there for everyone else. I can totally relate to that. It's amazing because when we do not step in to help someone, we just make them feel as if that we're not concerned about the problems. And there's no safe place for an outlet. Sure, we're all going through things and everybody has issues. Everybody has problems. However, it's so important to care. Sometimes when you share your problems with others, you get a deflection. In other words, well, you're not the only one going through problems. I got problems too. We know that, but that's not inviting. Take the time to listen to other people's wounds and see what you can offer instead of interjecting with your own wounds, or speak about your wounds to someone so that you can be heard. A lot of times when I share my wounds with someone and get that type of response, I feel as if they have not addressed their own wounds and need their outlet. So I hope that we can learn to not only listen to other people's wounds, but to share our wounds and speak about them so that each one truly reaches one and heals one. So the first point I want to make is always help somebody, because you might be the only one who does. You might be the only one that listens to somebody. And sometimes it's not comfortable. A lot of times when we're going through wounds, we're not looking for necessary solutions. You're just listening for a listening ear, a care and a concern. Because when you feel like no one cares, you revert. You go to yourself. You retreat to yourself. And sometimes people can go overboard with their help. When people are having wounds, it's so important to meet the individual, help their needs based on their needs, not what you think they need. Sometimes people are so giving, they give what they think you should have or what they think you would want, not necessarily knowing what you want or need. And sometimes there's an arrogance. I talk about a relationship I was in, and I share how the individual just could not relate. And the question I posed to him was, do you know what I want and need? And he says, I know. My question was, well, have you asked what I want and need? And sometimes we don't stop to do that. We just want to look at it from our own perspective. So sometimes when people are going through things or sharing some things, ask them, what do they need? Sometimes your opinions, your feedback can come across as an attack. And so we have to be careful because we can push people away instead of drawing them near. So there's nothing worse than opening up to someone and they turn it back on themselves. It's like, okay, were they not listening? Were they not concerned? Was it no care? Or are they just telling you, oh, just get over it? Oh, it's not a big deal. Well, it's not a big deal to you, but if people are going through a situation, it is a big deal to them. It is an issue. It is a situation. I remember a friend had given me a gift, and the person, he's very lavish. He lives a flamboyant lifestyle, so to speak. And he bought me a Louis Vuitton purse. Now, people who know me, I'm not a fan of Louis Vuitton. You don't hear very many women say that. I'm just not a fan of Louis Vuitton. I'm not impressed by Louis Vuitton. I'm not impressed by the price or anything of that nature. So he purchased the purse and gave me this purse. I gave it back because I told him I didn't like Louis Vuitton. And I didn't want to waste his money. I'd rather have the funds for that or let me buy what I want. He just could not believe that I would give a Louis Vuitton purse back. But again, that's a classic situation of not asking someone what they like or what they need. And that's the same with a wound. You're giving somebody something that's not beneficial to them, although you think that what you're delivering is beneficial. So, be careful when you're addressing people's wounds. Wounds hurt, and you can choose to get over it and move on or stay stuck. It is a choice. And sometimes for some, it's easier to do, and for others, it's not. There's no time frame for healing your wounds. Your wounds are healed in your time frame, not what someone else, because others don't know the details of everything you're endured. So be careful when you tell someone, oh, just get over it. Are you tired of hearing about it? Maybe you are tired of hearing about it. Then stop listening. Let them share with someone who truly has a listening ear and care. So the second point I want to make is when you share with someone and you did not get the response that you needed or you desired, and that person tells you or flips it and say, well, you know what? This is about me. I'm asking the question. This is my situation. So the point I want to make about that is, take the hit and stop being defensive. Listen. Our strength can also be our weakness. Sometimes we're so strong, we're so independent, and we appear as if we have it all together. And a lot of times we have to have it all together in order to make it through the next day. And that's that brave face that we have to put on for many of us, especially women of color. It is just something in order to just keep going. You have to put on that brave face, or you have to, just name it, claim it, or speak it into existence. Sometimes it doesn't work for us. And sometimes you need to be true and real about life. And a lot of times people want to sugarcoat things and just pretend. And as I mentioned in each of my podcasts, it's time out for pretense. We have to be real. We have to address real issues, real wounds, real hurts, if we're ever going to solve them. So, again, I posed that question last week. Let's see if I get any additional response this week. What can we do? How can we connect? How can we share that, show that we care? You don't have to be personal, but you never know who's in this group that's looking for that just word of encouragement from someone else. So look at it and take time to just respond to last week's question, if you will. The third point I want to make is, like I said, we all going through wounds, going through issues of life. But I heard a sermon on Sunday and this statement was made. You went through something, get something out of it. You went through something, get something out of it. Wounds are negative. They're negative in our feelings. They make us feel bad. We're not happy. And it's like turning lemons into lemonade. That's what it means to get something out of it. So I got something out of every single one of my wounds, and I recorded here in Wounds of Wisdom. And we can focus on the negative or we can focus on the positive. But you have to address the negative to get to the positive. Otherwise, it comes out somewhere else eventually. So you have to address your real feelings, your real truths, how you feel, and be real about it. Because if you don't, as I stated, it will show up elsewhere. I'm direct, and I meet a lot of direct people. And depending on the directness, it can come across as confidence, cocky, or arrogance. And sometimes directness is very ugly. People don't understand that sometimes their directness is ugly. And it's not just about being yourself. It's wounding, whether it's intentional or not. And so with that, I've spoken to several people, and especially for women of color, we can be very direct, but there's also the tone. And so as I go through and meet people or speak to people who are direct, I'm paying more attention to my tone, my directness, and toning that down, because I don't want to come across as in the way that some people directness come across, because that directness may not be well received. You can be direct, but it's also in your tone, your body language, and your delivery. So that's something that we have to be careful about. I'm trying to look at my notes to see what I wanted to say, because otherwise I go off topic. And it's a great feeling when people reach out to you. When people reach out and connect. I had a situation where I was literally attacked by someone on about something that I stated, and just the reception I got afterwards from friends, just encouraging me to continue to speak up and speak out. That spoke volumes, because I felt very wounded by the commentary from this person. So again, we have to connect with people. So the homework for this week, the question is, what really matters? Answer that question for me. No fluff. Let's be tangible. Let's be relatable, and let's be genuine. The purpose of this podcast is to build community. I want to help people heal. Each one, reach one, heal one. Initially, when I started this, a lot of people say, well, this is where you have to plug the book. And that's great. However, my goal is to make people feel less alone and to address their wounds and deal with that and overcome their hurts. And because of that, they will tell someone else about the book. So the purpose of this podcast is not necessarily to get people to purchase books, but again, to confront, close, and crucify those wounds. However, if anybody wants the book, you can go to drmonicajackson.com/books, or you can purchase the book on Amazon. So let's build community. Let's build community. But before I close, I'm coming on my 15 minutes. I want to read a word of wisdom. It's on page 101, and it's words of wisdom number 21. God is not in control. He is in charge. We have control over our choices, actions, and decisions. He doesn't control them. In other words, he's not dictating what we do. So make it a choice to do things a little differently. Let's care about people. So this concludes Trials, Triumphs, and Truths with Dr. Monica. If you found this podcast to be enlightening or encouraging in any way, please invite people to this group for healing, to confront their wounds, to discuss, and maybe each one reach one, heal one. As always, I like to close my podcast with, until next time, don't allow anyone or anything to disturb your peace, and don't allow anyone to, and don't you disturb anyone's peace for the rest of the day. So have a good evening. Have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your encouragement. I appreciate everyone who encourages me, everyone who's purchased the book, who's gotten something from the book, who's invited someone to the group. So tell somebody about this group and tell somebody about the book for the purpose of healing and for showing people that we can care, that we do care. So again, have a great evening, and thank you so very much for tuning in.